All right. So we had a little complication, so this will be in two sets. Okay, so we were talking about the demoralization of doing standardized tests and how even though we know what's best for our students, we have to kind of adjust. We have to do what the test is requiring us to do and how that's kind of stressful. And then I asked you, which we didn't get on film and we're going to ask again, I asked you about your colleagues and any colleagues that you have that you went to school with who now are approaching their third year, who are maybe burnt out or feeling demoralized, and tell me about what they're going through right now.
Yeah. I don't have any teacher friends that I graduate with or that I know recently who have burnt out or given up quite yet, but I do know 4 of my 7 classmates, well, 4 of my 6 classmates, me being the 7th, have already decided to switch schools either in their first or second year teaching. Another teacher that I know has switched schools 3 times in her first 3 years, like different schools, completely different types of classrooms and in different states because there just hasn't been the right support given to her by administration or parents.
This red tape is kind of keeping her bound up. She can't find the spot where she fits.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what the purpose of this article is like, then a teacher like that one, say she leaves next year and she's one of those numbers, that 50% that leaves in the first 5 years. Then did she leave because she personally couldn't do it or because she couldn't find the support she needed? And we're kind of set up in school. I don't know about you. I mean, I went to school 10 years before you did. But we're set up to, it's all going to be roses and beautiful, and you're going to have everything you need, and you're going to have all the supplies you need. And even though we know a little bit that that's not true because public schools are underfunded and all of that, we kind of have this idea that everybody's going to be a team, and we're all roses, and we're all working together, and everything's going to be great. And you're going to have admin who want your kids to be as successful as you are. And then you get into the profession and you're like, whoa, wait a minute, I'm an island. I know that my first year teaching, took me 3 months to get access to my IEPs that I was supposed to be serving. And it's like, that's the kind of red tape. Like, I was so frustrated and so wore out by just trying to get access to what I was supposed to be doing. So if I left the profession, people would label me as a failure. But the fact of the matter is, did I fail or did the system fail,
right.
You know? I feel like that is kind of where society gets it wrong and where society doesn't understand. And in today's world, you know, we discussed earlier, which we missed and we're re-recording, the idea that like even social media, that I can't get on, I see a news article about a teacher in the state or about teaching in the state or where we're at, and it's none of the comments are, our teachers are so wonderful and trying so hard. It's all, they're failures, they're not doing their job, they're lazy, they shouldn't have their summers off, they're this and that. And I just know so many wonderful people who do so much wonderful work, who even those people feel like they're not doing enough.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel that way? Do you ever go on and just feel like even just, not our admin, but society as a whole, like they don't value what you do?
Yeah, I think there are both extremes, actually. I think there are people who really, really try hard to appreciate what teachers do and show that appreciation, but still don't understand what we do or even really care what we do or how much we do, but they just want to say, like, hey, we really love you and we really appreciate you, but they don't really, not enough to, really try to understand what we're doing.
Right.
And then on top of that, I think that there's definitely also people who don't care at all what we do and oftentimes probably see teachers as a babysitting service for their kids.
For sure. I certainly think also in our population, I think we have a double layer of demoralization, and I don't know how you feel about this, but because of our unique population and the kids are often very low functioning, they're not going to be the test number that's going to get the school money. They're not going to be this or that. They are, because they're low, because they're low incidence, because they are, some of them are functional skills. The idea that what we do is really doesn't matter because it's like, oh yeah, well you have the population that they're not going to go out and be CEOs. Yeah. They're not going to do anything. So then I have this demoralization, and I don't know, you can address this yourself, but of then what I teach also not being valued by the professionals around me, even sometimes other teachers who don't understand what I do, devaluing what I do, and they're like, oh yeah, you're a teacher, but not, what you do is not really as important as what I do.
Right, yeah. I completely agree with that. I mean, my students being deaf, I mean, I use sign language with them. All of my students are nonverbal, and I have one who is incredibly smart. I mean, she's functioning below grade level, but I mean, I'm doing math with her and I'm doing language with her, and the fact that she can't talk, like, people treat her so differently just because she doesn't speak their language. And I think on top of that, it's not just that she doesn't speak their language, but that she doesn't speak a language. She manually uses a language. And I think that people don't understand that doesn't impact her, like, it doesn't impact the way she functions. Yeah, right. It's just a language barrier. But then I also have students who, there are some things that they're working on that they've been doing for ages, and people are just like, oh my gosh, that's so great that he's doing that, and that he's not sitting down instead of walking. But it's like, well, he's been doing this for years. Like, this is a good thing, but also, like, he can do so much more than this, and people just don't see it or appreciate it.
And that definitely, and that leads to the feelings of, this is not a even within our profession that's undervalued. This is even a more undervalued aspect of it.
Yeah.
And I have that same thing. I feel like, sometimes people see my kids and they're like, oh, they're so cute, they're so sweet, we love them. And I'm like, hey, they are working on walking right now. Like, tell them, great job, look what you're doing. And so then when I say, the skill of taking these 3 steps in this piece of equipment is huge, they're like, okay. Great. And they care, great, and they carry on, and there's no like, oh, awesome. Yeah. Or they do say it to the kid, but they don't get it. And
on top of that, doing too much for our students, like,
oh, absolutely,
trying to overhelp. Like, I mean, not in all situations, but, like, I don't want you to help him do that. Like, he needs to do it himself. Oh, but, like, he's special. Yeah, I know he's special needs. Like, I'm his teacher, but he can do that, and he's being stubborn, and he's choosing not to do his work, just like your students are choosing not to do their work. Right. So just, like, honestly, just in the most real definition of the word, like, people are ignorant. Like, they just don't know our population. For sure. And then you come back to that word demoralized. Like, you just feel like the kids are demoralized, you're demoralized. And then our administration, which we have the same administration, maybe doesn't quite understand what we do to the level that they should. And I feel that they don't make an effort to know it. I agree.
And then that makes me feel like the principal once said to me, I don't know what you do, but I know you do it well. Well, that's all fine and great. But
how do you know that I do it well?
How do you know I did it well? Right. I felt, when I walked away from that, I didn't feel encouraged. Like, thanks. I felt like, are you kidding me? I work my tail off in this place, and you don't know what I do?
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Don't make an effort to know what I do.
And don't make any effort to know what I do.
Well, and then also with that, like, my classroom particularly has very involved parents, and you would think that would be great, and it is great, except the problem is I do all of these things at home, I do all these things at school, and anytime that a parent says, I want him to start using a cane, I want him to have independent bathrooming skills, I want him to have independent feeding skills, I want him to walk, I want him to do this, I'm like, great. And so we do all these things, and then they're not supported at home. He's not expected to walk at home, he's not expected to eat at home, he's not expected to use his cane or his cochlear implant, he's not expected to wear his helmet, he's not expected to wear his braces. And so on top of that, it's kind of like, well, what's the point? Like, the point of school is to help him become independent, and if he's not going to be in school his whole life. Right. So if you're not having him do these things at home, what's the point? Why am I doing this?
Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
And you end up feeling defeated and then discouraged, and then what am I even here for? You start questioning yourself. What am I doing? Why am I doing this? Why am I killing myself trying to do this? And then, but because we're educators, we always bounce back, and we always come back, and we always come for